Hello everyone, this video is going to show you how you can go from this to this in just a couple of clicks using Glitch Machine. In this video I'm going to go over the basic setup for Glitch Machine, which is a no plugin, completely customizable, drag and drop After Effects project that has a whole collection of glitch effects in it from StudioAAA.com. It was just recently updated for free, so this is the third time I've updated Glitch Machine since it came out roughly 6 months ago, or 5 months ago actually. Glitch Machine is by far my favorite thing on the website. I always come back to it. I love working on it. I love when somebody emails me about it. I've added every single feature that anyone's requested from me to Glitch Machine 100% for free. So I got asked for chromatic aberration. It's now in Glitch Machine for free with no plugins needed. By the way, I know you can buy some pretty expensive chromatic aberration plugins, but I added it in there. No plugins for free. It took forever. I got asked for more textures, so I put them in this update. I got asked for color coded layers. I put them in. I got asked for like a guide on how to use Glitch Machine on an older computer, so I made a guide on it. I got asked for dithering in Glitch Machine. I wasn't able to do that, which is why I made the free download for the dithering actions that you might have seen me cover in the last video or the video before. So if you do get Glitch Machine, if you've just got Glitch Machine and you're watching this video to find out about it, and there's something that you would like me to look at adding, just send me an email, and if I can do it, I will do it. Glitch Machine isn't a subscription service, but I am committed to doing at least one entire year of updates as regularly as I can do, all for free. So up until October 2024, I'm going to be updating this whenever I can, and you will get all the updates as they come out. Glitch Machine right now is £25, which includes, as I said, all future updates, as well as access to all previous versions. So right now, if you get it, you get the October version, November version, and the March version, as well as all the private videos I've made covering each of those versions. It has its own unique displacement effects. I've generated everything from scratch in like Blender, Photoshop and After Effects. I'm not exaggerating when I say that out of everything I've ever put out as Studio AAA, or just as me as a freelancer, or even just like any of my client work, I've never had as much positive feedback about anything as I have had with Glitch Machine. I'll probably throw some before and afters on screen for some work I've done with Glitch Machine so you can see, but whether you are just setting up Glitch Machine yourself or you are watching this video out of curiosity, I'm going to show you how it works, how to set it up, and what you can do in Glitch Machine just to get you started. So a couple of things to take care of before we go into After Effects. So when you order Glitch Machine, you are going to get multiple download links. Now, please make sure you download at least one Glitch Machine version and then all of the extra files too. So anything that's not marked as like V0324 or V1123, that counts as like an extra file. Before you start unzipping the files, go put the zip file in the location that you intend to run Glitch Machine from. I'll explain why in a minute. You'll also notice that the zip file is password protected. So as I said, download the password file as well. You can read that and that'll explain why there's a password. I'm not going to cover that in this video. Just enter the password that comes in the txt file and unzip it to somewhere memorable on your computer, like wherever you store your assets for your work or wherever you made that folder a moment ago. I would recommend using 7-zip or Winrar to unzip the file. I'll link those in the description, as well as everything else I've mentioned. Just to clarify why I say to unzip using 7-zip or Winrar, recently Windows and Apple have added their own unzip like functionality to Finder and File Explorer, but it's not very good. It will sometimes unzip things wrong. If you're just unzipping something really simple, it's fine, but because Glitch Machine like is a bit more complicated, I would recommend using the sort of like industry standard software for zipping and unzipping files. So 7-zip or Winrar, I will link those below. So once you have unzipped, you'll see this is not just an After Effects project. There is a little bit more to it. If you're new to After Effects, maybe you're used to working in Photoshop, so you might not know that all After Effects projects are asset dependent, which means basically that they rely on the file paths in your computer to display anything like external that you bring into your composition. So for example, you download a stock photo and pull it into After Effects and then delete the stock photo from your downloads folder. After Effects will no longer know where that is, and it will display something like this. I'll put it on the screen now, because it doesn't know where the file went. Whereas in Photoshop, if you do that, the stock photo will be stored separately in your PSD file. So it can be a little bit confusing if you are new to After Effects, but I've got it covered, so don't worry. If you change the file path in any way, After Effects doesn't know what happened to your asset anymore. So in this folder called footage, you'll find all of the assets I've created that Glitch Machine relies on. So everything else is just in the software, but these are like the ingredients for the glitch effects. The way I save Glitch Machine before you download it, After Effects is going going to remember the file paths that are created when you unzip the file. That's why I said to put it somewhere you want to keep it. Bear in mind what I've just said. It's also important that you don't delete, rename or move any of these files in this footage folder. If it's too late and you've already moved or renamed anything, then don't worry, because there is a video in the playlist that you downloaded that shows you how to fix it super fast, because I've literally thought of everything for Glitch Machine. So yeah, don't worry too much, but just bear it in mind for the future. Once you have everything where you want it, open the file that corresponds to your After Effects version. So you'll see there's a backwards compatible folder. If for whatever reason you've only got After Effects 2022 or 23, whatever, you can just go into the backwards compatible folder and yeah, just pick one of these. I'm on the 2024 version, so I'm just going to use this one. So once you open that, this is what you've got. You'll probably have the animation sort of starting to render here at the bottom. For me, I've had this open while I've been talking, so it's all rendered. You can see this green section is what you're able to preview. So if you wanted to just preview the effect as is before you edit it, just wait for the little green bar to sort of expand out, and then you can press spacebar to play. If this is not what you're seeing, I'm going to show you how to fix it right now, but I'm going to have to cut this bit out because I'm going to quickly go and break my After Effects. So what I've done is renamed the footage folder and just added test on the end. Now if I come back here, I've got these error messages, so there's loads of them. 20 missing files, it doesn't matter because I know where they are. Now on the left here, you're now going to see this little graphic coming up and everything's now in italics, because like I said before, After Effects does not know where all these files are now because the file path has changed on my computer. It's remembered them in its like cache, which is why it'll still play, but if I try to make any changes now, I've just got this. So to fix this, if this is what you saw when you opened Glitch Machine, just pick any file here from the left. So I'm just going to go scanline 4, double click it, and when you double click, you're going to be asked to browse, if you look at the top left, to replace footage file scanline 4, or the name of whichever one you clicked. So from here, just navigate to where you unzipped your Glitch Machine file. And as you can see, because I renamed the footage folder to just footage test, I can double click in here, go to Glitch Machine effects files, and then just double click on scanline 4. Now, because all the other files are in here, when I double click this, After Effects is now just going to go in there and find every single missing file. So see, it's come up here saying 19 additional missing items have been found, and then after that it'll work fine. So yeah, if you didn't get any errors, then great. If you did, it was probably that one, and now you've fixed it already. I just wanted to include that bit just in case, because depending on how you unzip and whether you did do it with 7-zip or WinRAR, your operating system might interfere with it a little bit. So yeah, just wanted to include that bit just in case. I'm sure you want to just get your own artwork in here, so we'll do that first. If you look at this bottom sort of panel here, you'll see I've got Glitch Machine, your artwork here. I've got render queue open as well, which I'll just close. Then I've got the chromatic aberration tab. These are just what are known as comps in After Effects, or compositions. You can close them and you can still get them back after you've closed them. They're all here on your side panel. So if you want to just double click your artwork here, you can open that tab up, and then you'll see my preview artwork in here that I made. So just hide the preview artwork and you can drag in whatever you want. Bear in mind that as you get used to using Glitch Machine, you're going to work out what type of visuals work well with this style and what doesn't. So for me today, I'm going to add this very, very basic text I've just created in Photoshop. Mine is just sort of intentionally ugly for the purpose of this video. So it's just this super, super basic Chrome text. So drag and drop your work in here and click back over to the Glitch Machine tab, and your work here is instantly glitched. Now, depending on what you dragged in there are going to be a few controls that you might need to edit to get like a more balanced effect. So just to show you the controls, I'm going to pull my layers tab up, so you're not going to be able to see the text as much while I do this. But the main controls for Glitch Machine are all these layers here in green. I've tried to name everything descriptively, but there's also this added comment to each of the layers so you can read sort of what the intention is. And the main control for most of this is you can literally just hide and unhide everything until you remove or add the effects that you want to see. The effects chain here sort of stacks from the bottom upward, so you can see at the bottom there's the your artwork here file, and then at the top we've got like textures, things like that, things that go on last essentially at the top. So going from the bottom, just find the adjustment layer that is named pre-glitch adjustment. Now when you click that, nothing might happen if you are new to After Effects, so you're going to need to come up to Window and make sure you've got Effect Controls ticked. I've got it ticked, you just can't see it, so mine is here at the top right. After Effects is like Photoshop in that you can drag these panels to wherever you like, but yeah, I just keep mine at the top right. The pre-glitch adjustment is just this levels graph, so you can pull in these values until you get like the amount of clarity and sort of contrast that you want. So I'm just going to pull mine in like so it's quite harsh, but once you've done that, you can literally just go up this list and read the little comment and just customize like as much as you want really. You'll also see that there are other compositions here, so CRT screen texture, glitch displacement source file, distortion displacement source file, and the editable chromatic aberration. So these glitch effects in the comp files are pulling from the assets I've created in the footage folder, and you can click into, for example, the screen texture folder, and here is a list of textures that you can just alternate between for your work. So if you zoom in, you can see what's going on. If you come back over to your glitch machine tab, it will re-render now with the changed texture. Not every change is going to be like glaringly obvious, but as you become more aware of what each of these adjustment layers are doing, it can be useful to have like different combinations depending on what you're using. So you might not always tell a difference, but yeah, there's a reason that all of these are in here. So you'll notice that some of these are locked. So for example, the glitch displacement source file, distortion displacement, and glitch displacement are locked. You can just unlock those, but bear in mind that you can very easily break things if you start messing with them too much. Just to give you an example, I'm going to double click into the distortion displacement source file. It's like a tongue twister, but yeah, double click into here, and you've got FPS control and all these displacement files. Remember, in this one, just don't change the blend modes and you're fine. So this is essentially 5 displacement maps that I've made that can stack on top of each other. So if you turn them all on, you're going to notice that there's like quite a lot going on screen in this one that doesn't really look very nice. But this is being used, this animation here that I've made is being used to displace your artwork. So if you want a really, really strong displacement effect, then turn them all on and then come back over to your glitch machine, and you'll have more distortions. If you want something really subtle, then just turn maybe all but one off, all but your favorite or whatever, and then you'll have something more subtle. You can also go into the corresponding adjustment layer. So for example, for the distortion displacement source file, that one is linked to the distortion displacement adjustment layer, and the glitch displacement source file is linked to the glitch displacement adjustment layer. So if you've just made changes to the distortion displacement composition and then you click on the distortion displacement adjustment layer, you can come up here and turn this value up in red to like increase the intensity of the displacement. Now remember that values that appear in red in After Effects are animated, so this shows us 1051.0 right now. If I click to another point, you'll see it changes to 1034.2 and so on. So if you click around, that value will change, but that's because at certain points in the video the displacement is slightly stronger and some points it's slightly weaker, just to give it like more of an animated feel to the glitch. So I'm going to leave that cranked all the way up just for the purpose of showing you like how far it can go. Same goes for the glitch displacement. So if you double click into the glitch displacement source file, there's a couple of effects here. So there's an effect multiplier, an FPS control, and blocks effect. So if you want to tone down the glitch displacement effect, you can, for example, just turn off the effect multiplier, or you can turn off the blocks, or you can turn off one of these source layers. But yeah, I'm going to leave them all on. Obviously for both of these, FPS control, I've got this one in the distortion video set to 8, but you can turn that up. It won't really go past 30 because that's what I rendered them out in, but if you set it to 1 frame per second, it's going to be really stuttery. So you can see when I play it, it barely even changes. You wanted something that is a bit slower for your glitch effects, then you can just turn the FPS down on both of these. I've got them both set to 8 by default just because I feel like changing the glitch effect 8 times per second is like quite a nice balance between too much for your eyes and enough that you can get like what's happening on screen. So yeah, I'm going to leave those both at 8, and I'm not really going to edit either of those beyond the default, but those are there if you want to edit them. Same goes for the editable chromatic aberration. So if you double click into this one, you'll see you're just confronted with your normal like artwork that you dragged in. You've got down here the blue channel, the green channel, and the red channel. Again, these values are in red because they will jump around, like they'll stutter a little bit depending on what your input is. But I'm just going to pull these around so you can see it on video. The main trouble with getting this on video is that an effect that might be very, very obvious to me might only appear very subtle in my screen recording. So if it looks like I'm going over the top, you don't necessarily need to go over the top. It's just so that you can actually see what I'm doing in the video. So yeah, I'm just going to sit for a second so that renders, so I can show you what actually happens on screen when you set up your aberration. So it's rendered now. So once you've chosen these values on your sliders, if you hit play, it might not look like anything's really happening. So if I zoom in, you can see that ever so slightly, just by a couple of pixels per frame, these are like jumping around each channel. They sort of jitter and stutter a little bit. It's all just like little details like this that like contribute to the overall effect. So now if you come back over to the Glitch Machine project, you can see that like there's lots. This is like totally unreadable now, and I'm going to tone it down a little bit in a minute, but you can see that the aberrations have come through in the render. If you don't want aberration at all, you can just click the little eye next to the editable chromatic aberration comp and it'll disappear, but I'm gonna leave it on. Now let me just go and tone down my displacement effect, because that's kind of what's killing this one a little bit. So I've turned that down to 80 and now it's a little bit more readable. You'll also notice that there is a 32-bit pixel downscale effect and two 16-bit pixel downscale effects. Now, this is something I literally contacted Adobe about this, and they said there's nothing they could do. But basically, there are certain effects in After Effects that are not available to Apple users because of the screens that are used on Apple laptops, on MacBooks and stuff. So if I enable this 32-bit effect on my Windows PC, it will look rubbish. If you enable the 16-bit effect on your Apple device, it'll look rubbish. So if you're on Apple, just use the 32-bit. If you're on Windows, use a 16-bit. If I ever find a way around that, I will definitely add it in. But according to Adobe, there's nothing I can do and there's nothing they can do either. So the only one that has like added customization is the alternative downscale. So if you're on Windows, if you're on Apple, I'm sorry, but if you're on Windows, go to the alternative one and come to your effect controls, and you can reorder these. So if you pull the mosaic effect above the channel blur, you'll see things change slightly, and like vice versa. You can also come into the mosaic effect. I wouldn't recommend going too mad with this because the setting that comes with Glitch Machine is like one of the nicer values that it lines up at, but you can change these. So if it's at 192, if I go like 250 and 250, you'll see that it becomes a little bit more clear. If you want it a little bit more blocky, you can go 64 for example, and now it looks, well, it looks rubbish to be honest, but you get what I'm saying. So I'm just going to keep mine. I'm going to do 250 and 250. You've also got things like these glow layers. So obviously you might have seen the comment already where it prompts you to edit color A and color B. So there's two instances of the glow layer. The one that affects your work more is the lower one. So the one that is just above the pixel downscale effect. If you come here and scroll down to where it says A and B midpoint, color A, color B, you can change these three settings to tint the work a little bit. So if I go red, for example, you'll see now that rather than being white, the middle of my chrome text appears in red. Green if I choose green. If I go red and like blue, you'll see that like you can tint things and start messing around with the glow colors. This doesn't really work that well for chrome text, but for example, if you have a render that you put in here that is tinted like red and blue, if you use like red and blue lighting in a photo you took and you're putting that in here, you match the red and blue up with the color A and color B and just find the right midpoint between those two using this slider here. It can like really complement your input. I'm just going to leave them both white for now because I'm just using chrome text and the chrome text would just glow like silvery white. You can also edit the glow threshold, but yeah, that's all just going to depend on your input. The lower the threshold that you have, the more of your image is going to be affected by the glow, and the higher threshold, the more selective the glow is going to be. So if you imagine on this slider here where your glow threshold is, 0 is black, so everything above black is going to glow if you have it at 0, and if I put it at like 86, then I'm at like very, very, very light grey, so only things above very light grey will glow at 86, if that makes sense. I've covered that before, I think, in the dithering video, like how thresholds work and stuff, so yeah, just bear that in mind. Just find the setting that works for whatever your input image is. A lot of this is trial and error, but once you've clicked through and decided what kind of effect you want from Glitch Machine, let's say you want to save this preset separately from your default Glitch Machine, you can just go to File, Save As, Save a Copy. For example, if I wanted to save this one, and let's say I'm going to do like 36 days of type on Instagram, I want to render the same glitch effect on all my letters. You can go File, Save, Copy, and just name it like Glitch Machine Chrome template or whatever, and then save that, and it'll save a copy of the file, and now you can just come back to this preset whenever you want. It'll use all the same files. It's not going to duplicate all these files on your computer. It's just going to pull from the same footage folder. So all your options are then backed up separately from the default values. It's good to keep the default values, I think, because those are the ones that like you can come back to this video and any of the other videos that I make on Glitch Machine, and that way when you're watching me, I have all the same settings as you when you open Glitch Machine. So yeah, just that's what I would recommend. So going back to what I said about Glitch Machine being asset dependent because it's in After Effects, I'm going to come to the Your Artwork Here file, and I'm just going to hide my txt file that I put in, and I'm going to pull in this render, which is by one of my friends, Abel, who you might know as Archfiend. So big thanks to him for letting me use this in this video just to demo this for you, really. I'll link all his stuff in the description, so go check him out if you like this, because I love this render. So I'm just going to test a few things on this today. So if I now come back over to my Glitch Machine, it looks overexposed, doesn't look great. Obviously we set everything up for the Chrome text, and now I've pulled this image in, it looks rubbish. I'm going to come down to the pre-glitch adjustment, and I'm going to redo the levels. I'm going to pull these out a little bit until it looks nice, but for whatever reason, let's say that I just can't get this working inside After Effects. Just for the purposes of the video, I'm just going to say, yeah, I can't get this to look how I want it to look using these controls here. This is going to be really useful for you if you prefer working in Photoshop, because if I now come into Photoshop and open the exact file that I just placed inside my After Effects project, I can now work on this file in Photoshop as much as I like, and as long as I save and overwrite the file that I pulled into my After Effects project, it will update live in After Effects as if you were making the changes in After Effects directly. So let's say like I add a gradient map, I don't know, I'm just going to try and like come up with something, because this render already looks amazing, so it's a bit hard for me to like fix anything. But yeah, let's say I wanted to tint it red and just add this curves adjustment to it, but I've done that in Photoshop now. So if I just go to File, Save As, and just overwrite the file that I dragged into my actual project and just press save, you'll get this warning: this file already exists, do you want to replace it? So I'm just going to click yes, and then come back over to After Effects, and you'll see in a second, once it's done saving, it will, or it should, realize that the file has been updated, and it will pull the new file in. If yours doesn't do that, like mine, for some reason, you can just right click on the file and click reload footage. So now mine will reload it in red like this, and if I come over back to Glitch Machine now, you can see it's all tinted red. Same goes for literally any other change, like if you wanted to brush over it or like add some effects that you only know how to do in Photoshop. If you're a Photoshop user and you want to just use Photoshop to edit your glitch input rather than the effect controls that I've added to After Effects, this way you can do that and you can have freedom. Same goes if you're rendering something out from Blender or any other software really. As long as you overwrite the file that you put into After Effects and don't save a new one, After Effects will just keep updating live, and that way you can kind of like balance it out to work in the software you are most comfortable with and still use Glitch Machine if you want to do that. Now to me this already looks really cool, so I'm not really going to do anything else to this. But that basically covers it for the basics of Glitch Machine. Once you're happy with where you're at, if you're just wanting to export a still image, so if I just want this one frame, or like if I scroll in a little bit and you can see that in the middle here there's this pull like one displaced line of pixels. If I wanted to export this frame, you can come up to composition, save frame as and file, and then navigate to wherever you want to save it, click on save, and then it'll open up your render queue, and just click this button here that says render. I'm not going to do that because mine will make a really loud noise when I do, but it will output a PSD file. If you come to the output module, you can change sort of like the file type that you're going to get. That's the easiest way, that's how I do it really. But if you want the full animation rendered out, get ready for the boring bit here. I'm sorry, but I'm going to show you my own render settings. I will say that your render settings are largely dependent on your desired file output. So like if this is for social media, your settings will be different for if it was an outdoor billboard or a music video. All those are going to vary depending on what type of hardware you're using and like just what kind of effects you applied and everything like that. I'll show you mine, but I would recommend researching and doing a bit of trial and error until you find what works for your own project. So I'm going to come up to composition and go to add to Adobe Media Encoder queue. That's going to open up the Adobe Media Encoder, which should have installed when you installed After Effects. If you don't have Adobe Media Encoder installed, just go and install it from your like Creative Cloud thing, and you'll see here that a new thing will pop up. You won't have these, so I'll hide these, but you'll see a new After Effects project will come in called Glitch Machine, and for you it's probably just going to go to match source high bitrate, and it's going to have this output file path and H.264 selected. I don't really deviate from H.264 because I want an MP4 file for mine, but you can click into this match source high bitrate, and once it loads, you will get some more detailed settings. Whenever I export anything from Glitch Machine, I always export two versions. The first version I do is like a high quality version, and the second version I do is like a more optimized version for like social media and the internet or streaming services or like whatever I'm working on. For my high quality version, I'm just going to make sure I click on match source, and I'm going to make sure this box here is ticked so that the width and the height of my output are going to match the Glitch Machine settings. On encoding settings, I'm going to choose hardware encoding because luckily I have a nice GPU that can do this pretty easily. Again, it's going to depend on your setup. And then if you keep scrolling down to bitrate settings, I just turn mine up. Now, like people who are experienced with video are going to be like shouting at the screen right now, but I just go all the way up for target bitrate, which I know is overkill and I know I don't need to do that, but that just ensures that I get like the most like information per second for bit. That's what bitrate is. So yeah, I just turn mine all the way up for my high quality output, and then I will click OK, but I'm not going to do that now because it might crash the recording if I start exporting stuff. For my low quality or my more optimized recording, I'm going to untick this box underneath the match source thing that I told you to click a minute ago, and then I'm going to type in 1080 in width, and it should just copy over to the height. If it doesn't, just enter it manually or just click on this little link here, and that will make sure that these two properties keep the same aspect ratio. And then again, just scroll down. I still keep the hardware encoding on. Scroll down to target bitrate, and again, if you're experienced with video, please don't kill me, but I just click like a lower value basically. Once you've set all that up, if you just come back into your Adobe Media Encoder and just click Start Queue, it will just start exporting that. Any issues from here on are specific to Adobe Media Encoder. It's very unlikely you'll get an issue, but in the event you do, there's always like a forum post or something for Adobe Media Encoder from a few years ago where someone's fixed it. Adobe Media Encoder, you might have seen me say this in my other videos, is famously like just a little bit temperamental, so just bear in mind that Media Encoder is separate from Glitch Machine. But I'm going to exit that now, and all I'll really say here at the end is 1, if you do get Glitch Machine, thank you, and I genuinely really appreciate you. 2, please download the extra files that come with Glitch Machine. The extra files will ensure that you have access to the private video playlist that covers any issue, any fix I add, any update I add is all covered in the private playlist, so please download those extra files. And 3, if you get any error messages or any issues, or if things just don't work quite as you want them to in Glitch Machine, please send me an email because I will fix it. And it's not just you that will get the fix, it's everyone that has Glitch Machine that gets the fix. Yeah, the third thing really is just like get in touch if you have any feedback or errors or feature requests, because it really helps. Other than that, thank you very much for watching. Have fun with Glitch Machine, and I will see you in the next video.